Another thing they don't tell you is that this dust cover back here underneath the transmission that covers the flywheel, that has to come off also. It looks like 3 10 millimeters, and one of them looks like I can't get to it, so that'll be fun. Transmission's out. You'll need a 10 millimeter 12-point socket to take off these bolts. I don't know if they're stretch bolts. If they are, then you have to replace them. I may replace them anyway. And you want to take them off in a crisscross pattern. And just for a point of reference, I don't know if I'm going to need it, but I'm going to take a Sharpie and draw a line from the flywheel across to the clutch and the pressure plate, just so I know where it's lined up. Also, keep in mind when you take these off, if you turn the flywheel, it will no longer be at top dead center, so you'll have to go to the other side and do that again. So here's the clutch assembly out. First thing is throwout bearing, which is inside of this pressure plate here. So in this NSX there is a twin disc. Not all NSXs have twin discs. Some have split flywheels or something. I'm not really sure. I've only done a clutch job once before. It was in a Nissan 240SX. It was very straightforward and simple. There was a pressure plate, a clutch disc, and a flywheel. So anyway, there's throwout bearing, which this one's still good, but I'm going to replace it anyway while I'm in here. Pressure plate, then that pushes on this clutch disc here, which here's like an intermediate disc thing with little springs on it. And then there's another clutch disc that would be in that. And then here's your flywheel. I thought I'd take a minute to talk about some of the interesting stuff in this shop. There's various motorcycles. Alfa Romeo outside under that cover. The DeSoto. There's the NSX. Just finished taking the transmission off and getting the clutch out. I'm gonna order some new parts for that. This is an Alvis, and it's from the 60s, and it's one of 6 ever made that were in left-hand drive configuration. So pretty rare. The interior's getting redone on it, and a new top. Motors over here on the bench underneath all that stuff. This motorcycle is comprised of like 3 motorcycles. I think it's got a Gixxer front end. I don't know, just a bunch of parts being put together. This thing's cool. Old BMW motorcycle. Has a drive shaft. All BMWs had drive shafts for a long time. I don't think they do anymore. I know they did a decade ago anyway. But this thing's pretty awesome. The owner would put a scarf on to bundle up and drive this thing in snowstorms. He drove it from Connecticut to Chicago. There's this Trident here. So, yeah. There's always interesting stuff in and out of this guy's shop. And he was nice enough to let me use his lift. My lift is a 4-post, and you wouldn't be able to get the engine out from a 4-post with runways, at least not this way, where you were dropping the whole subframe with the rotors still attached and all. So, yeah, that's it. So, I have the clutch all apart here with the flywheel. I'm trying to figure out if I need to buy a whole entire new clutch kit, which is over $3,000, and that's how Acura sells them now as the kit. You can't just buy the discs. However, this is a twin disc thing, so it leaves me a lot of options. I can switch over to a single disc. There's a lot of different companies that make them, X-Eddy, Clutch Masters, etc. But I have gone around with a micrometer, feeler gauges, straight edges, and this is what I've discovered. So the flywheel's good. I'm going to bring it to a machine shop and just have them straighten it out, take down any hard spots. It feels pretty nice though, and it's level. Same thing with the mid plate here. I'm going to bring that to them, and I'll bring them the pressure plate, have them clean this up a little bit. Now, the release bearing right here, mine doesn't have any play in it. Honda or Acura wants $400 for this thing. I haven't looked around. I could probably find it cheaper somewhere else. And this is not included in their $3,500 clutch kit. However, I checked my actual clutch discs, and they're actually still good. They're within range. I have about 50% life left. Now, going through all this and taking out the transmission, I'm going to replace those. If I had to replace everything else, if it was warped, I would go ahead and do that, but I don't. The pressure plate, mid-disc, and flywheel all seem to be within working order. Everything's in perfect range there. There's not a lot of wear on anything. The clutch discs are 50% worn, and I did find these in Japan. They sell them in sets of 2 like this. They're each a different part number. I believe one starts with 220 and the other one starts with 240. One is the flywheel side, and it'll say right here, so this says, see if I can get the focus, it says mid side there on one, so you know which way to put them back. So this one is the pressure plate side. It goes like that. And then this one says mid side, it goes on the other side, and this side says flywheel side. So anyway, both of these are about 50% worn. I'm going to go ahead and replace them while I have them out. I found them on eBay from Japan. Takes a few weeks to get here for around $800. That's with shipping. So, but you can check these. So I believe one, the service limit is 5.9 millimeters. The other one is like 6.1 millimeters. Don't quote me exactly on that. It's just around there. I'm about 1 millimeter to 1.5 millimeters bigger than I need to be. Okay, so yeah, that's the, if anybody had any questions about that, I'm going to be, oh, the other thing you want to check on your mid plate is you want to make sure when you push that it separates there. See how there's play? So you want to make sure it moves, and mine does. There's an exact measurement you could do where you could put so many pounds per square inch and measure how much it moves, but as long as it moves, it's fine. I have a little bit of wear here from the release bearing, and they say if you have that to replace it, but it's really to your discretion because it's hardly worn. They're just basically cleaned up just from the friction on it. There's no like big grooves or anything. So in my case, I believe it's fine. I am rolling the dice a little bit, but I'm also saving a couple grand by doing it this way. Hopefully it doesn't come back and bite me in the ass, but I don't think it will. So I'm going to take the gamble. So basically, if the machine shop said that my flywheel, pressure plate, and intermediate disc were good, then that meant for me I was going to make a decision just to buy the clutch discs. And so I brought it there, and they said they're all good. They didn't even have to touch the anything except for the flywheel. So they did the flywheel, as you saw in the video. As far as the pressure plate and the intermediate disc, they said those were fine, just polish them up a little bit. So that's what I did, and they're good to go. So got to order the clutch discs from Japan. They're around $800. That's the best deal I could find. I'm gonna see if I can find them in America, just so I don't have to wait a month for shipping. There is plenty of other stuff to do while I'm waiting for it to ship, and so I'll start doing some of that, tearing this thing down some more. Okay, so what came in today was some parts. I got my clutch discs. Acura charges, I think, around $3,600 for clutch discs. Mark Perez, hit him up. He hooked me up. I saved about $3,000 by him sending me the clutch discs. Acura wanted $440 for a throwout bearing. I think Mark got it for me for $100. He can get all kinds of NSX parts from Japan. He's the man, and he deserves a shout out. Right here is the part number for one of the clutch discs. So I can get that focused. And then here's another part number for the other one. And Jeff Kuda, thank you for sending me this. I really appreciate it. Awesome guy. These are usually $100. He just sent it to me. So big shout out to him. This is the it's a protective disc that goes in between your crank and the harmonic balancer. If the harmonic balancer ever fails, it can suck its way in while it's spinning and chew right through the timing belt cover and right through the timing belt and cause catastrophic engine damage. So big shout out to you, man. Thank you so much for sending me this. I really appreciate it. I also got some VTEC spool valve gaskets there. Let's see. Oh, the throwout bearing part number. He covered it up, so I can't give you that, but I'll link it. Normally you'd have to buy a flywheel, intermediate disc, and pressure plate. I didn't have to. Mine were fine. Otherwise I would have spent $3,000 more through Acura for those 3 parts, which is insane. They shouldn't cost $1,000 a piece. One plus side, I believe anyway, when you buy a clutch kit is they give you a clutch alignment tool. And I remember back in the day you used to be able to go to auto parts stores and they'd have a bunch of plastic clutch alignment tools hanging up on the shelves, and I went to some this morning and they were like, oh, that's not a thing anymore because they all come in clutch kits. I went to this tool bench over here and I found this one here, but I think it's going to be too short for a twin disc system, so I might have to go try to find one somewhere. Also, putting on the flywheel, which I'm going to be doing shortly. I believe it's page 136 in here. Let's see. Okay, page 136 of the manual, and it shows the flywheel, and it shows it for the automatic and the manual. The torque settings for the manual are 76 foot-pounds, and the order in which you torque them are, let's see if I can zoom in here. Alright, fit the width, and there you go. So there are 54 foot-pounds for the automatic, but you want 76 foot-pounds for the manual flywheel, and you do them in this order. They're hard to read, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 76 foot-pounds for those.